Recently I had quite the exquisite pleasure of playing the game called Hades. I know it's been out for a while and it's been out with critical acclaim for a while, but it was on sale and I had some loot boxes left to sell. We still are going to have that conversation, Valve. I was able to buy this almost perfect game. They don't really do much for me, as I always feel that it's always just the same level with slightly different variations, do slightly different things to just get incrementally better loot. So I don't really expect it much from Hades, for myself at least, since they don't really have a way of getting your gear better by finding it from random drop chances. The only thing that holds me back from roguelikes was now removed. In this game we play as Zagreus, the rebellious teenager son who wants to defy his father and go to the real world, not the underworld where Hades resides. That is the whole setup, the whole personal quest of Zagreus, and we the player naturally have to fulfill that quest. Whenever we embark on a grand adventure, naturally not everybody will be pleased with it. Some of our closest inner circle will mostly wish us the best of luck, give us a warning on not to do it, but respect our choices. And in this case, the guards of the underworld, their job is to keep us, Zagreus, in the palace where we were destined to be. Either you kill the guards and go to the top, or the guards kill you and you go back down to the palace. It's a very simple core loop. On the path towards the overworld we also get wonderful gifts, boons from our extended family, the gods of Mount Olympus. And these help us, give us strength to fulfill our personal quest. Naturally, being a roguelike and that a competent player can finish the whole entire sequence of going to the top in less than half an hour, there needs to be some challenge to keep us the player engaged. In this case, it is very hard. In the beginning we haven't built our strength up, so we are a very weak individual that will embark on an epic, amazing journey. Since we are weak, our enemies tend to be stronger. Luckily, we have an infinite amount of tries to go to the top, so we can always come back with whatever little we had and try again. While I was playing this game, I was thinking how this concept relates to failure and how we as human beings see failure. Because naturally, in this game, I failed. I failed a lot. I died over and over and over again. And it probably took me 10 to 15 to 20 hours for defeating Hades at the top for the first time. Only then to realize that I have to do it quite a bunch more. So when I thought that I'd beaten the game, only to learn that there was so much more to come, it kind of felt like failure. The only time in a game where I defeated the end boss and I still felt like a failure. I still felt like I didn't complete the game. Now why is this? Why was this? Well, the obvious, what I thought was the end of the game and then I could play something else or do something else, was just the beginning of a whole new chapter. Because I spent so much time beating everybody else up and they beating me up, I thought that was it. So I beat myself up for it, that I was such an idiot. Because Hades doesn't necessarily view it as failure. And just like in life, there's always a next problem, there's always a next fight. Life always continues. Us starting a run towards the top is a perfect way to describe our day, and us going back to the palace to talk with our loved ones in a circle, improve our tiny little house or palace is the evening, and then the next day we go for another run, we try again. But what I didn't expect was that being immersed in this whole loop gave me a whole new outlook on failure. The last 2 years I had quite a bit of misfortune and bad things happen to me, and every single thing that I seemingly did was wrong. I tried to be right, everything failed in the end, everything I thought was good was bad. I was living in a state of confusion, let's say. I seemingly have failed in every single aspect of my life. And of course, to distract myself, I would play a game like Hades. We see failure and success as these end states where once we have them or once we are rid of them, they are completely fine. They are simply maintained by us. We are the ones that decide when exactly something is a failure and something is a success. instead of letting something be how it is. That's a normal tendency, we all do it, and I am particularly at fault on that one. Sometimes life just happens and shit goes down, and it is simply a matter of being in the wrong place at the wrong time. But you know how it is, and then we start beating ourselves up. Oh, I'm such a loser, I'm such a failure, I'm such this, I'm such that, instead of just letting it go and just moving on. Zacharias has an extremely carefree and cool attitude about it, and basically I think the technical term is doesn't give a shit, because he knows that there will be a next day tomorrow and he will try again. Now I'm assuming none of us are part of an extended family of Greek gods. I'm assuming that would give you a little bit more confidence. They are also non-stop reaffirming and communicating with Zacharias during his run. In the end he still has to do it by himself, and just a few tiny little boosts in a damage of a weapon is not a cheat code for automatically winning the game. He could do it without their help and he probably would win if he tried hard enough. There is always tomorrow. But yes, it can be quite frustrating to have lost to Theseus and the Minotaur after the 10th time, spending 37 minutes for each fucking run. That will boil anybody's blood, and then they're like taunting and bullying you. It's not a fun feeling to go home empty-handed, suffering a loss against guys like that. Each loss can teach us powerful new things, should we accept the outcome. Sometimes when something is failing, we just have to stop, and in Hades' case that makes it quite easy, because they just boot you and kick you back straight to battle. Sometimes we are in the middle of a run and we don't feel like it's going particularly good, or we aren't strong enough for the next fight. We can quit in advance. There's no shame in stopping something that isn't working. Most of our loved ones will probably not eat us alive, and when we get back to our own little palace, we can have nice conversations, interesting ideas, fun activities, maybe even some romance, to forget all about our failure, all about our day. And that is something that really sunk in with me when I was playing Hades. There was this incredibly famous speech of Admiral William H. McRaven. It's the Hollywood stereotypical motivational speech of a Marine giving a speech to inspire graduates. It's an absolutely excellent and fantastic speech should you wish to motivate, or should you be an appreciator of communication like I am. And one of the things that he said was to make your bed every day. Now there are some characters on the internet that also repeated this way of life, actually feeling inspired and thinking I need to test this out. I actually tried that because I always hated doing chores. I would pile them up, wait the last minute, and then just try to do them all at once, and then everything else would go for the next batch. But the thing that Hades made me realize is the point that making your bed does. The whole idea is that you make your bed, you have succeeded at least in one thing that day. If everything else fails, you at least have made your bed. You at least have a little bit success amongst all the failure. And should that be indeed your worst day, you at least have a made bed to come back to. And that is something, that message is something that stuck with me when I played Hades. Because I would go on these half-hour runs, then I would naturally be killed in some stupid way because I made a misstep, and I would come back to the palace a little bit richer, a little bit more experienced, and a little bit wiser. But then I would buy upgrades for the palace, as they are a separate currency from the one you used to, I guess, physically upgrade your capabilities. And then I would see like a beautiful home. And then I would fail on another 30-minute run, and then I would come back to a more beautiful palace than before. And in that moment, after failing such a second run, it made me really appreciate why people do chores. Whenever you can look at them after you've done them. Because in the moment they suck, right? They're not as fun as playing games, for example. The good feelings that you can get from playing a game don't always last as long. I mean, if it's a beautiful story, it can stay with you forever. Or a life lesson from a roguelike like Hades. But in general, with most multiplayer games, I don't remember shit of them. Most multiplayer matches that I've played, I forgot about them. Most single players I still remember quite vividly. But the multiplayer games were fun, right? What am I left with? Time like that, put it into something more productive, then I would always be able to watch myself look back on that. And that's why people do chores. Because if they clean their house, they can just stand proud at the end of the day at a cleaned house and be like, fuck yeah, I did this. I did it. It makes you feel good about yourself. However bad your day, however bad your run was, you come back to something that your past self did for your future self. Most things we will ever try will end up in being absolute failures. And sometimes we just have to push through our personal quest and keep going at it for a very, very, very long time and be persistent. And in case of Zagreus, I won't spoil the ending here, but in the end, every single party benefit thanks to Zagreus' personal persistence and determination to reach the top and to try every single day. If you look at the secret ending, not the one with the credits but the other one, you will realize it doesn't matter how many times we failed, we only need to succeed once. That is something that hit home very instantly because I managed to reach a channel with 100 subscribers. I take full responsibility for it, but it took me about 12 years. Yes. You heard that right. Which I am extremely grateful for because it really means a lot to me. And by being determined, I managed to reach my top. And if we fully believe in something and enjoy doing it, we just need to show up until we are at the top, wherever that may be for you.
Into